Welcome to AI Podcast. Today we're talking about MerryQuery, a classroom AI assistant presented at MerryQuery 25. It's designed to be trustworthy and teacher-friendly.
Trustworthy is doing a lot of work there. What makes an AI assistant trustworthy in a class?
In this case, MerryQuery limits itself to the course's own materials and shows citations with every answer. Think of it like a student asking the class librarian for a page, and the assistant not only answers, but points to the exact page in the textbook or slide deck it used.
Receipts. So it's not just guessing from the broad internet?
Right, it uses Retrieval Augmented Generation, or RAG, which is a fancy way of saying it first fetches relevant snippets from the approved course content, then drafts the answer using those snippets.
That helps with factuality, sure. But what about learning? I mean, if it just hands over answers, students might skip the thinking.
Exactly. The interesting design choice here is something they call granularity control. In practice, it's like a dimmer switch on help. In practice mode, it gives hints and nudges. In review mode, it can go deeper and even walk through a full solution when that's appropriate.
So the instructor can say, today we're coaching, not solving. Tomorrow, we're reviewing before the quiz.
That's the idea. And there's a guided learning dialogue built in. Instead of dumping a paragraph, it tries to guide the student step by step. Like, first, let's restate the question. Now recall the definition from lecture 3. Now apply it to this problem.
Nice. Who's behind this?
The lead author is Benyamin Tabarsi, with Tiffany Barnes among the co-authors. The team is largely based at North Carolina State University, with a collaborator at Northwestern.
Got it. Now let me poke at this. When you say it shows citations, are we talking clickable references next to each response?
Yes, the system surfaces the specific slide, page, or section from the course repository. So when it says the time complexity of an algorithm is such and such, it attaches a reference to the slide or handout where that appears.
That's helpful for students and also for instructors who want to check what the assistant just taught in their name.
Exactly, which ties to another feature. Instructors can review chat histories. Think of it as a teaching log. You can scan how students are asking for help, see where confusion clusters, and decide whether you need to revisit a topic.
That raises a flag for me. Oversight is great, but what about privacy and consent in a class setting?
Important point. The paper is a system demo, so it focuses on the design and the what, not a policy framework. In practice, any deployment would need clear classroom policies, opt-ins where required, and compliance with local rules and norms. The tool enables oversight, but it's on the course staff to use that responsibly.
Makes sense. Let's walk through a concrete moment. Say I'm a student stuck on a dynamic programming problem from this week's homework. What happens?
You might ask, I don't get how to choose subproblems for this sequence alignment question. In practice mode, MerryQuery could ask you to identify the overlapping substructure first. It might quote a definition from the lecture notes and then prompt you to write the recurrence without giving it away. If you still struggle and you switch to review mode, it can reveal a worked example from the course handout and explain how the base cases and transitions map to your problem.
So it scaffolds, then escalates. It reminds me of a teaching assistant who says, "Tell me what you know so far before I jump in."
That's a good analogy. The hope is to support productive struggle rather than shortcut it.
What about differences from generic chat tools? Why not just paste the problem into a general LLM?
Two big reasons. First, alignment with a specific course. The assistant's world is your syllabus, not the entire web. That reduces off-topic or contradictory answers. Second, transparency. Because the answer carries a citation to the course artifact, you can verify it quickly and instructors can keep things consistent with how they teach the material.
Okay, let's talk evidence. Did they run a big controlled study with learning gains and all that?
Not in this paper. This is a demonstration paper at AAAI. It showcases the working system and its design choices. The team mentions early pilots and usability work elsewhere, but rigorous classroom experiments with randomized comparisons are still to come.
Right, so promising but not proven. What should we watch for in the next phase?
3 things. First, learning outcomes, like concept mastery or problem solving under time pressure. Second, trust metrics, meaning how often the citations really back the answer, and what kinds of errors still slip through. Third, pedagogy fit. Does the granularity switch actually improve engagement across different courses and instructors, or does it need discipline-specific tuning?
And speaking of errors, retrieval isn't magic. If the right page isn't indexed, the assistant can still go sideways.
Yeah, the librarian can only fetch what's on the shelf. Index coverage, good chunking of documents, and smart ranking all matter. If the system misses the exact snippet or grabs a poorly cropped figure, you can get subtle mistakes. That's why those citations help. They're an invitation to click and verify, rather than forcing blind trust.
Any other trade-offs we should keep in mind?
Over-scaffolding is one. If the hints get too leading, students might just follow breadcrumbs and stop thinking. Under-scaffolding is the other. If the guidance is too vague, frustration rises. Tuning that granularity per course and even per assignment is going to be an art as much as a science.
I'm also thinking about equity. Some students might rely on the tool more heavily than others, or have different access patterns. Logging can surface that, but the response has to be supportive, not punitive.
Totally. The upside is that instructors can see where confusion clusters and redesign materials accordingly. The responsibility is to use that lens to improve the course, not to police students.
Before we wrap, who is this most useful for on day one?
Instructors who already organize their course materials well and want a consistent, source-backed way for students to get help between office hours. If you can feed it clean slides, notes, and assignment specs, you're setting it up to succeed.
And if your course is messy, the assistant will be messy too.
Pretty much. Garbage in, garbage out. The tool amplifies the clarity of the course.
All right, give me the quick takeaway.
MerryQuery is a classroom-focused AI assistant that answers from your course materials, shows its sources, and lets instructors dial the level of help. It's a thoughtful blend of accuracy and pedagogy. Early signs are encouraging, but the big question is how it impacts learning when you measure it carefully.
Nicely put. If you're an educator, the practical next step is simple. Start small, scope it to one unit, set clear help policies, and monitor how students use it. Let the evidence guide your next move.
Exactly, and that's it for today's episode of AI Podcast. Thanks for listening.
See you next time.